Dear students, in this module, we will be covering the positive and successful aging and its determinants. We need to understand, as we discussed earlier, that population aging is an unavoidable outcome of the demographic transition experienced by all the countries across the world. The proportion of the world's population over 60 years is estimated to nearly double from 12% to 22% between 2015 and 2050. The major issues like declining fertility and increasing longevity have led in an increasing proportion of elderly persons concomitant with the demographic transition process traversed by most of the now developed countries. In Indian context, India is home for 104 million elderly persons comprising of 8.6% of the total population as revealed by the latest census of 2011. The number of elderly persons in India, which is expected to increase to about 300 millions, constituting 20% of the total population by 2050 as estimated by United Nations. Considering this, it is necessary that we have a comprehensive understanding of various needs and issues of the aging population. This calls for various policies and programs directed towards the aging population for ensuring better living standards and quality of life among them. If you look back, traditionally, family has been the primary source of support for the elderly in India. However, due to rapid industrialization and urbanization, their living arrangement is increasingly observed as a major issue in view of the changing family composition. For elders living with their families, especially the elder women, there is a high level of dependency on their children. The expenses of the elderly care in such cases become the additional burden on their children. Moreover, with the rapid decline in fertility, there is a substantial reduction in the number of children to take care of the elderly. Older women in particular, especially those living alone or in rural areas, face severe issues of having reliable or sufficient incomes. This affects their access to nutritious foods, adequate housing and health care. Thus, in view of the economic, physical and social dependence that elderly require, it is important to focus on aspects of positive aging and support for maintaining a decent quality of life by them. Now, it is very important for us to focus on that how best the elderly can be positive in their mind of thinking and also how they can be very active and successful in their perception and in their actual life. In that context, we have to think that the elderly should not be treated as a passive receivers of care, and we need to see that they will become very positive in their day-to-day life. In that regard, positive aging becomes very important for us to promote among the elderly. Older people need to remain integrated in society, be able to live with dignity and security, be able to pursue opportunities for self-development and participate actively in the formation of policies that impact them. Positive self-perception of aging, whether it is healthy, happy and hopeful, is conducive to longevity, promotes greater confidence among the elderly and results in better acceptance and understanding of age-related issues within family and society. We need to understand that aging is not just an economic and demographic issue, but a social, cultural and technological opportunity also. Elderly population will constitute a huge market for a range of new goods and services, new types of housing, consumer products, health and related care services, tourism and leisure activities and transport services. This huge market among the elderly is very important for us to convert them as a human resource, and in that context, positive aging is very important to promote in the society. Elderly are to be fully integrated into social life. There are various dimensions in aging issues which we need to promote in terms of whether it is a research, teaching, training, networking, playing an advocacy role, and whether we need to document and see that the capacity building of the caregivers for the elderly is to be taken care of. One of the important aspects is, in the part of successful aging, we need to know the concept and how various factors that contribute for promotion of successful aging is very important. In that context, the concept of positive aging is also reflected through other various concepts like successful aging, active aging, productive aging, and healthy aging. Rao and Kahn viewed successful aging as a state described in terms of having low level of disease or disability, a high cognitive and physical functioning capacity, and an active engagement with life. According to this study by Gerfin, interrelationships among 4 multi-categories of successful aging, such as a productive involvement, affective status, functional status, and cognitive status, are minimally correlated, suggesting that successful aging is a multidimensional phenomenon subjective to individuals and are influenced by several personal characteristics. Absence of chronic conditions and maintaining functionings are positively associated with the successful aging. Successful aging and its determinants are very important point for us to understand before we work out appropriate strategies, programs, and schemes for the promotion of quality of life among the elderly. Adapting to old age depends upon several social and psychological factors which promote a satisfying and well-adjusted later life. However, a comprehensive understanding of the varied determinants from their living environment and the differences in their needs, problems, and coping skills is necessary to provide appropriate policies and programs and to create awareness among the elderly, family, and society for a better quality of life. According to Sivaraju 2017, positive aging looks to change social perception about aging so that it is viewed with acceptance and positivity as a new phase of life. As the research on aging has mainly adopted a problem-oriented approach exploring negative aspects of aging, positive approach is particularly necessary to focus impact on interventions and solutions. WHO renamed its Health of the Elderly program to Aging and Health. It signaled an important change in orientation. Rather than compartmentalizing older people, the new name embraced a life course perspective. Conversely, the health of those now in older age can only be fully understood if the life events they have gone through are taken into consideration. Active aging is the process of optimizing opportunities for health, participation, and security in order to enhance quality of life as people age, according to WHO 2002. Active aging allows people to realize their potential for physical, social, and mental well-being throughout the life course and to participate in society while providing them with adequate protection, security, and care when they need. Here, the word active refers to continuing participation in social, economic, cultural, spiritual, and civic affairs, not just the ability to be physically active or to participate in the labor force. Older people who retire from work, ill, or live with disabilities can remain active contributors to their families, peers, communities, and nations. Active aging aims to extend healthy life expectancy and quality of life for all people as they age. Maintaining autonomy and independence for the older people is a key goal in the policy framework for active aging. As aging takes place within the context of friends, work associates, neighbors, and family members, that is why interdependence as well as intergenerational solidarity is important tenets of active aging. What are the determinants of successful aging? Why some section of elderly lead a successful life while others are not able to lead such a successful aging? That is why it is very important for us to know the contributory factors or the major determinants which contributes for understanding the successful aging among that section of elderly population. As the profile of the elderly is very important, it is also important for us to know what determines successful aging. The knowledge base with regard to the elderly in terms of their demographic, social and economic conditions, health needs and their living arrangements are fairly extensive in developed countries. It's hopefully inadequate in India, which is one of the developing countries, and databases at the macro level focusing exclusively on the elderly are also negligible in various dimensions. In that context, subjective well-being inventory considers that people are different and they live in a variety of situations due to which they do not feel the same way about life and the world around them. Therefore, it is important to know how different persons feel with regard to their day-to-day concerns like their health or family. Such knowledge is necessary in order to bring improvement in the quality of life of people, especially the elderly. The SUBI is designed to measure feelings of well-being or ill-being as experienced by an individual or a group of individuals in various day-to-day life concerns. An important aspect of mental health and psychological well-being, empirical assessment of subjective well-being involves evaluation of one's life in terms of overall life satisfaction as well as one's experience of pleasant and unpleasant emotions. It's very important to understand that as part of a active aging framework, WHO has brought out the various determinants of active aging in a conceptual framework, and there it is emphasized that the active aging is a ultimate dependent variable and various factors in terms of set of economic determinants, health and social determinants, behavioral determinants, personal determinants and medical dependents and other aspects which have a contributory factors are all provided as various dimensions, and in the conceptual framework it has been clearly mentioned that it will vary these with respect to gender and also with respect to cultural context in which the elderly are located. Given this conceptual framework, it is very important for each country to understand what are all the various determinants that exist and influences the active aging among the elderly in their society. In this context, such a framework which has been provided by WHO, it is very necessary that in each of the cultural context in which elderly are located, with each of the gender dimension, we need to empirically test out what factors are contributing in what level and degree in influencing the active aging in that society. Such a analysis with empirical data will greatly help the policymakers to channelize their efforts in promoting active aging by allocating various resources which are appropriate for each of these dimensions, and also to see within a time framework these suitable programs and schemes can be carried out so that the elderly living in different cultures and representing from different genders will get the benefit, so as to see that their active aging can be promoted in those societies. Another important dimension which we need to know is that each of these determinants are also very important, as each of them will be influencing in various forms, and also each of them will also be internally depending on each other. For example, when there is a economic set of factors which are operating on active aging, it is also important that they will have a bearing on health and social determinants as well as behavioral determinants or personal determinants and as other such various dimensions. That is why we need to carry out various multivariate analysis so as to see how each of these factors individually and collectively will be influencing in understanding the active aging framework. Some of these studies, like carrying out by the Building Knowledge Base on Population Aging project which was promoted by United Nations Population Fund, has carried out a major study and on situation analysis of elderly in India among the major 7 states, which started with Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Orissa, Himachal Pradesh and West Bengal. These major states have shown that each of these factors individually and also collectively have shown their presence in influencing the degrees of social well-being of these people. So, in that context, such a situation analysis which has brought out very valuable data, we need to know that such thing will create investigation so that the data will be very important. For example, when we understand the socio-economic setting in which the elderly are located in a particular state has brought out very important findings in understanding the sociological dimensions of aging, the economic dimensions, the health dimensions, the disability aspects and the cultural traits in which the elderly are facing their various issues, are all individually and collectively have greatly influenced in understanding, which led to attempting to see what way the active aging can be promoted through appropriate strategies and policies. For instance, it has been mentioned that as part of the dissemination of these studies, it has been attempted at both state level and also at national level to bring out all the policy makers from various ministries to come and listen to the various findings that emerged from these studies, and also to see how far the recommendations that have made through these studies can be more appropriate and feasible and also manipulable at the ground level, so as to see that each of these is a light point. In this regard, if we want to promote quality of life of elderly, channelize various programs and schemes, the multi-dimensions attempts are required in terms of research, teaching, training and participation of the elderly members, promote capacity building among the caregivers, playing an advocacy role and documenting the various studies and reports, preparation, networking of the various agencies to come forward. And it is very important, all these dimensions individually and collectively are very important to promote the positive aging. For instance, as mentioned that building knowledge base on population aging, through which the studies have focused in understanding the situation analysis of elderly. Similarly, the training is very, very important of caregivers and also other various stakeholders, the community-based organizations and the health manpower, who are all supposed to have fully equipped with the understanding of the aging issues, so that we need to have at state, district, block level of various health functionaries have to be trained in understanding the various issues related to aging. Similarly, we need to have to promote various products in terms of services, in terms of equipments, which are very important for elderly to lead an independent life and to be active. For instance, in the area of disability, like hearing aids, eye operations and using spectacles, and also to reduce the various dimensions of hearing aids, and such important aids have to be promoted, so that it's a huge market which we can expect given the high population growth among elderly and the changing profile of the elderly in our society. Similarly, we need to play a very important role in the area of advocacy. Advocacy to create a greater awareness among the elderly and also the young members in the society, so that the intergenerational bonds can be promoted, so that harmony will prevail not only in family, neighborhood, community and society at large. In this regard, we have to bring various ministries and see that they all will converge in their programs and schemes, so that the elderly members in the communities can greatly benefit from these aspects. Similarly, if you look at the database that are available on aging issues, very early stages in which the micro level data as well as macro level data are very important for us to have, because policies and programs can be depending on scientific lines only when they are supported with the proper data and also with the proper analysis of the empirical data that comes out from the field. In this regard, we require national level data on elderly, and also adequate analytical studies are required to understand the causal effects of the issues that the elderly confront in various communities. For that sake, we need to have more and more exploratory as well as explanatory studies in the field of aging, and furthermore, we need to promote the aspects like action research, experimental studies, and see that such studies will provide policy and programmatic issues that require to be addressed in a time-bound manner, so that all sections of elderly population can benefit from appropriate policies and schemes. Another aspect is the networking among agencies. There are several agencies which are working at ground level. For instance, there are NGOs which are exclusively focusing on aging issues. There are senior citizens associations. There are daycare centers run by several organizations. There are old age homes which are also promoted and carried out for the elderly people. What is required is, most of these agencies are working in isolation, and there are no common platform where all these organizations can come together, share their experiences, and also understand from each other in terms of what additional inputs are required, what additional knowledge and what policies and program responses exist in the field of aging. For such platform is very important, where these agencies can come at regular points of time and understand from each other the type of issues that are confronted by the elderly in their own societies. Given the aging which is very at infant stage, and the issues that are confronting are becoming increasingly complex, and also the phase in which population aging is increasingly found in our society, such platforms of networking among agencies and organizations are very important for us to promote. For important is that how best these organizations can come and realize the goal of coming together, as well as in promotion of the various programs and schemes, and also to rationalize their resources and other points of views, how best they can incorporate. Because given the more and more elderly population are coming to aging 60 plus, and also that we are experiencing aging among elderly, so that more and more elderly people are increasingly coming to 80 plus, 90 plus, like that. So when population aging is not only coming among 60 plus, but is also going to beyond 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, so that the population aging is accelerated among different higher age groups also. In that context, it is very important for us to not only to understand that there are different dimensions of aging, but also various sectors that require the convergence, and also that sectors which all have to come together to play a respective role. They are all very important. And as we know that quality of elderly goes beyond from individual, from family level, from neighborhood level, from community level, from society level. Appropriate policies and programs are important from the government point of view to see that they address to the needs, especially the financial, health and other social security issues. Furthermore, the community-based organizations have to work it out, especially for those who are vulnerable and marginalized sections of society, so that at a community level they can play a very important role in addressing the quality of life of the elderly. Similarly, it is very important as an individual, elderly have to see that to a great extent of contributing to lead an independent life and to minimize their dependency on the young members in the society. Such lower level of dependency will greatly help in minimizing elder abuse and also to promote positive and successful aging.